Welcome back to Dark Souls 2. Today we're going to speak to Benhart of Hugo, then make our way to Harvest Valley.
I am in your debt. It's a true man who honours his debts, and I'll see mine paid. I swear it by my ancient sword.
He's very fond of that sword. This is in response to us clearing the path by unpetrifying Rosabeth or Melfia. So if you come back and speak to him after you've done that, that's his dialogue. I'm going to come back and speak to Mollin, the imposter. And I think he's an imposter. I've not completed his storyline, so I don't know, but I think he is. Or he's confused and he's wandered in here by accident. Anyway, you need to spend money with him to get his dialogue going. And we're just going to buy the Elite Knight set for the meantime.
I considered returning to my homeland, but I've decided to stay a while. Finished already?
And we'll come back and speak to him later once we've defeated certain bosses. And what I do as well is I upgrade. Remember we bought the Claymore from Vengaro in the previous episode. I go to the blacksmith and upgrade it to plus 5 or 6. I just prefer it over the bastard sword, and I want to have a slightly different weapon to use when I need it and I don't need the mace. And I'm wielding it just now, as you can see. So if you come up here, when you leave the bonfire, just come out, come left, come up here. Don't go into that wee room to the right, because that's an ambush. This is an ambush as well, but clear this bit first before you take on the enemies down there and to the right. And what you're attempting to do is sorry, I'm speaking too quickly. I'm in a rush, actually, kind of making this just now. What I'm attempting to do here is get him to come close to the wooden beams and shatter them using either his dark orb or his fists. And normally it's never as tricky as this. Normally it's quite straightforward, but for some reason I was having trouble with him this time. And I couldn't bait him into coming towards me. And as you can see, his dark orb can clip through the wall, so just be very wary of that. So I thought I'd got it that time, but nope. If you're very close to him, just roll under his dark orb. And that was just stupidity on my part. I should have rolled. I guess I'd just been doing it for too long because I'd cut some of it, and I must have spent a few minutes trying it. But anyway, he did shatter the wooden beams, and we'll just go back up there and kill him now. And then we'll get access to the items that the wooden beams were blocking. They're actually quite easy when you get up close to them, these mounted overseers. They've got like nearly 1200 health points, and they have a chance to drop what can we drop? Oh yeah, smooth silky stones. I think that's it. There's only a couple of items in here that are worth it. The old knight stuff is not to my liking. It's very heavy, looks kind of ugly in my opinion, and there's better equipment out there than it. It looks like you're carrying a tombstone in your back when you've got the shield equipped, the old knight shield. So we get rotten pine resin here, and that becomes very useful later on in certain boss fights. Certain bosses are very easily poisoned. Don't waste a common fruit here. I waste one. The reason it's not worth using it here, even though we're descending into a pit of poison, is because there's mounted overseers further on, and the items down here are kind of useless. And there's other kind of pits you can drop into, but you really need to clear the overseers first before you do it. So yeah, that was a waste of a common fruit, because I was really intending to just drop down here immediately and then kind of run out the other side, but if you do that you really have to then get in a one-to-one fight with the mounted overseers. And these are the mounted overseers here. So just take them out with ranged attacks before you descend into the pits. And I'm obviously not going to show you me doing the whole thing. The good thing about these two overseers is that once you kill them, and you've cleared out the pits, you don't have to take them on again. Even though they respawn, they don't aggro when you walk past them. So drop down here, collect a fading soul, run down. It's hard to see where you're going, but you'll kind of just, the walls will kind of guide you. Don't worry about getting poisoned. We're out of the pit now. You can see this takes us back to the area where we just fought the overseers. Since I'm poisoned, I might as well just collect these items while I'm here. This is Chameleon and Soul of a Brave Warrior. And Chameleon, that's sorcery. We've also got the silver talismans that we got from No Man's Worth. I was lucky there, I nearly died actually. And the silver talismans do the exact same thing as Chameleon. More like a PvP item. Or it is strictly a PvP item. This is useful, human effigy and a shard, large shard. And I always get caught that wee bit, that boulder always catches me and I never get onto the ramp in time. Anyway, this is the rings we picked up in the Shaded Woods, the old sun ring. Like I say, it's like a defensive / offensive ring. Killing enemies' attacks cause you to have an AoE effect, like blast. Clear bluestone ring, very good for casters, increases their casting time by, now I can't remember, 55? Maybe not as much as that, 55%. I think it's 35%, could be wrong. This was just to show you quickly that you can change in your item box, you can change the categories by different criteria, so you can sort them by weight, attack, defense, that kind of thing. Very useful. Good addition to the item box system. They had it in Dark Souls 1 as well actually, now that I think of it. So we're going to go back and we are going to go to the area in here which is an ambush. We've got 4 of these artificial undeads in here. Quite a crafty ambush by FromSoft. Quite a dangerous one actually. And what you're best to do is come up the wee ramp and then come up here. Destroy the wooden beams and make your way in here. This gives you like sanctuary. And we kill one of these undead labourers or whatever they are. And I was looking at the back of these guys, that's why the camera's focused on them. And you can see that they've got like writing on their back. And I'm absolutely sure, oh I'm not absolutely sure, what am I talking about, that's nonsense. I have a theory that maybe the writing is part of a ritual that gives these guys life. I don't know, reanimates them or brings them to life, or that's my guess. That you see you've got a body that's dead and it's, you know, it's blemish free. It's not got any writing on it that's been carved into the body with like a scalpel or something, or whatever the tool they used. And it's dead. And then you've got these undead labourers and whatnot that seem to come alive as you approach them. And I don't know, that's just my guess, maybe that to bring them to life they enact a ritual that requires them to write incantations on their skin. Could be wrong. Anyway, you use that wee sanctuary part there, back there, to bait the 2 of the artificial undead, and then you take them out using like a thrusting weapon, and the claymore's perfect for that role. And then you can either take these 2 out one at a time, use ranged attacks, maybe throwing knives or arrows or whatever, or if you want a bit of fun, just come down and take them on. I actually staggered him there, I should have just taken him out. You should know how to fight these guys already because you fought them in Huntsman's Copse. So there's a few items to collect here. This is actually quite a good wee area if you're wanting to harvest the Skeptic Spice and the Simpleton Spice. And I should really make use of them because we're going to pick up quite a lot as we make our way through the playthrough. And maybe I should just try one out just for the sake of it since we've got them. Large shard. Large shards are kind of the first kind of item. That and Twinkling Titanite that are kind of hard to come by. Watch out, there's 2 undead labourers in here. more Skeptic Spice. And when you come in back into the wee bit with Sanctuary, if you go down to the other way, instead of going right, go left, and you've got this Crystal Lizard. And I made an absolute mess of that. Pick up an important item here. We've already used one Fragrant Branch of Yore, and that was on the Rosabeth. And you can use the second one on Strayed in Lost Bastille. The one that's standing in front of a prison cell and is petrified. And you've got those, what are they called? Anyway, let's go and get the Crystal Lizard. And this one actually drops some decent items. Well, I suppose actually looking at it, it's only one decent item, the large shard. So now we'll continue on with Harvest Valley and make our way into Earthen Peak. I actually really like this area. I think the design is excellent. Very memorable area. Some interesting enemies. So yeah, you don't have to fight these guys. You can just walk up the path normally. You don't even have to go over to the right like I was doing. They won't aggro. So we've got a new enemy here. These guys are steelworkers. Very easy to stagger them. Watch out, they kind of have a... see when their hammer hits, they can hit their hammer off the ground and it creates a shockwave. And you don't even have to be right close to it. It can cause you to take damage, even if you're a kind of distance away. This guy is an idiot and walks through a pot of poison. If they get enough poison on them, they actually start to... the status effect starts to take work and they begin to die. That's the attack that you've got to sometimes watch out for. It can cause you to take damage, even though you're kind of far away from it. I put on the berry here just to get some item discovery. There's one when you come round that corner, so just watch out for him. I believe these guys have something on their... yeah, these guys have the... like, the sign of the curse on their back. And I think it's their left shoulder. There's one up there, yeah, see what I'm aiming, the reticuli. Is that even how you pronounce that? I don't know. I don't ever remember how to pronounce that word. Yeah, they're very easy to stagger. Even the stone ring, if you're not using like a heavy sword, I'm not really using an ultra great sword, but if you're using kind of a long sword or something like that, stick on the stone ring that you got from the ogre and things betwixt, and that'll help you stagger them. And once you stagger them, they're dead, or they're easy to kill. That was a poison beetle, and again with the eyes are actually below the bulbous area. Its main face is below the bulbous area. You're going to have to run through all this poison, this pool of poison down here to get to the items. The item in the distance is an Estus shard, so that's really useful. Watch out, you get more of these beetles. When I was playing the game, I actually got a fright when he did that, because I thought I'd killed him. And these guys have a chance to drop blossoms and gems, I think it is. Yeah, life gems. We've got a Pharaoh's Lockstone here. It's only worth using if you want the Poison Bite Ring. And the Poison Bite Ring, under certain circumstances, has uses, especially because poison in this game is quite powerful. I'm going to be quiet in a second, because if you listen carefully, if you turn your volume up, you're going to hear these strange whispers in a moment. So I'll be quiet about now. Here it comes. So I hope you guys heard that. I mean, I can definitely hear it in my headphones. It's not me imagining it. I'd be interested to know if you guys can hear it. Because if not, I think I'll need to make an appointment with my doctor. Anyway, so we got the Poison Bite Ring, and yeah, it doesn't... I think it adds like 200 or 150 or some points to your poison resistance, but poison's so powerful in this game that it's still... you're still going to take it's going to take something special for you to avoid it altogether. So we've got more of these poison beetles, and I'm not going to show you me killing them all. What I did was I aggroed one of these steel workers who's up, kind of up there, and he managed to get himself into a wee sticky situation by falling into that narrow path, which isn't suited to his girth. So dropped a shard, there's an item in there, we'll go and pick that up. This jump, oh, this is my favourite jump in the game, I think. I swear I was nearly pulling my hair out doing this, because I know on the PlayStation 3 I can do this jump every day of the week. Okay, the first times I tried it, maybe with the DualShock 3, I maybe struggled a wee bit, but eventually I got it down and I was able to do it more or less every single time. Yeah, I was able to do it every single time. With this wired, or I can't remember, I've got a wired and a wireless Xbox controller, so whatever one it was, it would have been the wired probably at this point, and whatever, I was using the wired and it just wasn't making a jump for some reason. Whenever I tried to jump and depress the stick, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't doing the action. And I've eventually had to go and download, if you go into the Dark Souls 2 Nexus, there is a fix you can get, the Dead Zone fix, which just makes the area of action in your stick much more useful. Yep, and I should do the Benny Hill theme here for a second, because you're going to see a few wee deaths. That was maybe my fault that time, because I was doing it from the wrong kind of area. That was my fault probably as well, actually, looking back, because I did it too far away. I should have been further up the ramp. And I know there's an easier way to do it where you do the plunging attack, but for some reason I can't get that. I can't do that. I just couldn't. I've never been able to do it consistently. But yeah, so you can either use Xpadder or go to the Dark Souls 2 Nexus and download the Dead Zone fix. If you use Xpadder, I was happy at this point because I tried it more times than you guys actually see there. If you use Xpadder, set your stick's dead zone to 15%, left and right stick, and you don't have to mess around with any other buttons or settings, just the dead zone settings for your sticks. These enemies are mannequins. Again, we've got more examples of like artificial life or puppets or something, or yeah, self-directed machines, whatever you want to call them. Again, we get a lore about, you know, the Queen breathed life into these dolls. Again, that sounds very ritualistic, you know, like Frankenstein's monster type thing, where Dr. Frankenstein gave life to the monster. And yeah, you find out some lore about the Queen as well, and about how she's a spiteful woman, an insecure woman, and she lopped the heads off of these mannequins, or these beings, because they dared to look upon her or whatever. Sounds like a lovely woman. What else? Yeah, the mannequins can drop their armour sets. They're fast, agile, aggressive, I've written that. We get the heavy crossbow here, good if you're a strength build because it scales with strength. What we're going to do now is, I'd recommend instead of jumping back, I would use a homeward bone. It's deceptive looking, it's deceiving because it looks like it's much closer than it is, but if you attempt that jump, sometimes it's very easy to fall into the pool of poison and die, because it's you just instantly die for some reason jumping that far, that height. So once we come back here, we're going to instantly go into the boss fight. In the boss fight, you just come back the same way we just came. You take out all the steel workers, equip heavy bolts, equip iron arrows. If you want to fight the boss like this, you don't have to, I'm just showing you how to do it the easy way. This is, you destroy all the pots, and that drops down all these undead labourers. And what happens is, the covetous demon, Jabba the Hutt, and that's obviously who everyone's going to think of when they see him. He goes and eats all these undead labourers, and that distracts him obviously and allows you time to go and get your hits in. You can see that I'm doing very little damage to him now. The reason is because when he eats these undead labourers, it kind of raises his defences or makes him invulnerable. He's a very straightforward boss. whichever way you fight him, whether you want to fight him straight or not, it's easy. The only danger is he can roll on top of you. He can. The best thing is and it happened to me a couple of times, or once at least. He picks you up to eat you, and then regurgitates you, minus your armour and all your weapons. You can see this guy's quivering and frightened, so I'll just leave him be. Yeah, he picks you up, eats you, regurgitates you because he doesn't like the taste of you. It strips you of your armour and whatnot. From a distance, you can stay close to him or stay middle distance, because if you're far from him, he can spit. He can spew up on you. You know, what else can... Poison, he's resistant, seems to be resistant to poison. Green blossoms can help. I think you can use bleeding serum to take him out. He's very weak to fire. He's very easy. Let's speak to Lucasio.
Sorry to have burdened you so. This is for you. By way of an
So because this is actually an excellent ring. Increases your physical defense by 75 points.
My memories are fading, oldest first. The curse is doing its work.
So we get confirmation that the curse affects your memory and starts to degrade your...
Terribly so. If everything should fade, what will be left of me?
strips you of your memories and therefore your personality and who you are and your essence.
We learned to fence together. He became the most decorated swordsman in all of Mirror. I never even compared to him. In fact, I never beat him. Not once.
She sounds kind of upset about that.
One day, he was gone. Lost without a trace. Now I'm certain that he was taken by the curse. If only someone would hear my
I
tale.
think that's what we're doing.
My brother must have come here, too. Soon I may forget even about him. If only
So,
someone would hear my
we'll catch up with Lucatio later on.
forget even.
In the next episode we're going to make our way through the rest of Earthen Peak. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for watching.